Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and for today's video, since the latest game in the Pikmin series is out, Pikmin 4, I decided to do a tutorial video on this digital drawing and coloring I did on Procreate, where I drew one of the Pikmins, this adorable flying pink Pikmin, and several other Pikmin in the background, using a real-life photograph that my cousin sent me, and we just kind of played around with what it would look like in the backyard and what the aesthetic is in the Pikmin series, and eventually adding a bit of animation to the wings as well. But before we get started, if you're new to my channel, consider hitting the like button, ringing the bell, and leaving a comment. Let's get to it. So when my cousin and I teamed up doing this project, I looked through several of his photos and found one of the ones that I really loved the best, and this one looks so cool with the leaves on the foreground, the background towards the left and the right, where it's kind of gets a little bit blurry, and added a bit of depth to the photo and to the overall aesthetic that I actually wanted to do. And he added a cherry and a Duracell battery also on the ground, and this is where I decided to add the flying Pikmin and also a red and yellow Pikmin in the background. And this just gave it a bit of a variety that I wanted to see. So the program I used was Procreate on my iPad Pro, and just with anything, I'm going to be working in a lot of layers. And for this pink Pikmin, the main one with the most amount of detail, I always start with a base color and a base shape. This makes it easy to start adding layers where I know I'm going to add the shadows, the highlights, the different tones, and eventually start experimenting with any kind of textures that I might add, and even playing around with the eyes and things like that. And anyone who's familiar with the Pikmin series, if you look at the graphical art style of the game, they do a great job of blending real life graphics and textures with a fantasy world where it's very cartoony but also very lifelike with the lighting and just real world objects that makes it feel like you're in a tiny world and everything around you is huge. It's very fun and whimsical, and I had so much fun doing this. So one of the things that helped out a lot was using this reference photo, and it's very highly detailed, a high resolution, where you can see these pink Pikmin carrying Captain Olimar, who's the main protagonist of the series. And this really helped choose the colors, and because Procreate lets you directly pick the color, I kind of just drag and dropped it onto my layer, and I just started working from there. This made it easy to see where the highlights and how the highlights worked and where the shadows would work. And this really added to the lifelike and believability of this digital drawing, especially when you zoom in and I started putting these pink Pikmin's hands on the cherry stem. It kind of made it blend very well. And if you notice in this recording, I'm always zooming in and out just to kind of see how everything looks from far away, and then zooming back in when I need to go into the more detailed areas. And here's a reference photo of the pink Pikmin by itself, and you can kind of notice all the little textures and little almost like freckle highlights in its skin. But yeah, this is just another one of those things that I kind of zoomed in and added shadows and highlights where I needed to be, and kind of used the world around with the photo to kind of just blend everything together. As for the brushes, the main ones that I used were the soft airbrush painting brushes, and for the solid shapes I just used one of the pen tools. Very easy to do. And same goes for the yellow Pikmin that you see right here, and also the red Pikmin all the way in the background, which were less detailed, but also I approached it the same way with the shadows and any kind of contrast and any kind of blurriness, especially if they're all the way in the background. So now as we zoom out, this looks perfectly fine after many hours of work. It looked exactly how I wanted it to look. And then we move on to step number 2, which is animating the wings. And then eventually I started playing around with the Procreate Animate option that they added a while back to animate the Pikmin's wings. And this just kind of added to it. And it was very simple to do. So this was actually one of the first times I ever tried animating something digitally, and it was actually really easy to do. There's a great option in Procreate where you use the frames per second and you draw the different frames that you're going to use to animate, and testing out the different frames per second in order to see how it's going to look. And this was just a kind of trial and error that I used, and it actually came out really well, where I drew the wings and then I actually used one of the blur options to kind of make it feel like it was moving, and it worked out really well. And this is the result that you'll see. I just love the Pikmin series. I like how whimsical the creatures look like, and this is just a really fun project to do, just something that I always wanted to try out. And yeah, let me know in the comment section down below if you guys are into the Pikmin series and what you thought of this digital painting slash drawing slash animation. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you later. Bye.